This video series will introduce you to the fully functioning person as conceptualized by Dr. Carl Rogers. This short 4-part series is hosted by Dr. Mark Frederick, who holds a PhD in counseling psychology with a concentration in human and student development. In the first of 4 videos, Dr. Frederick will be using lay language in introducing you to some basic background information that will help you in better understanding the content of the entire series. As he's speaking, you might want to consciously evaluate how some of the things he presents have and continue to impact your life, as well as the lives of those around you.
Is there some sort of practical guidance out there somewhere we might access to learn how to move our lives to a higher level and quality? Well, yes, there is. And in this short video series, I'd like to share with you the observations of Dr. Carl Rogers on what he defined as a fully functioning person. On the surface, what I'll be talking to you about today is quite basic and easy to understand, but at a deeper level, it's highly complex and will take an ongoing act of conscious will to incorporate into your life. But it can be done. And I'll be posting additional videos of people who are living well within the definition of a fully functioning person as part of this series. For the most part, we're all aware of what it is we think. But in order to achieve a higher level of overall functioning, it's critical that you become more aware of how you think. Those internal, psychological, cognitive, and affective processes that guide our understanding of the lived experience and are responsible for creating with us either a solid, static, unshakable worldview, or a worldview that is more fluid and dynamic and responsive to the ever-changing environment around us. What you think and how you think are two different things, but are highly interrelated phenomena. So this video series will attend more to how you think than what you think. All of us down deep really do want to be the very best we can be, because we realize that meeting our own needs is best accomplished when we're functioning at an optimal level, however you might define optimal functioning to be. We all have different definitions and understanding of what optimal functioning would be in our lives, but it does seem that for the most part, there's a common element, let's call it, that's part of the definition that most people have for optimal functioning. It's a sense of harmony and satisfaction, even as we navigate through the multiple challenges we all face as part of being human. The best we can be has little to do with money or power or influence over others. It really is an internal phenomenon that leads us to being an active and efficient agent in our own lives rather than capitulating to the will, whims, or desires of those around us. Our want to be the best we can be is, for many people, something they don't yet feel they've achieved. A phenomenon that Dr. Carl Rogers focused on through most of his professional work. In his life, Rogers contributed more to contemporary psychology than anyone else I can think of. And while his contributions came to us 50 years ago and beyond, they both influenced the field of psychology both academically and clinically to this very day. But for all of his contributions to the field, the one area I find has the greatest message is that of how he defined the fully functioning person. Rogers believed that within each of us is the tendency to thrive. Well, no, not tendency, let's call it a drive. A deep, genetically bound drive to be the very best we can be. So if we all have this drive, why isn't it being constantly engaged, making each of us more effective, more efficient, and more productive in a never-ending process of becoming better and more fully functioning as people? Well, it's important to understand that all of this is a lifetime process, a lifelong process. There are no quick fixes, no immediate turnarounds, no instantaneous take a pill and be healed approach to any of this, because there's no clear end to becoming the absolute best we might be. To be absolutely fully functioning is an ideal that none of us will ever achieve, because no matter how well we function, we'll always find ways to become even more fully functioning. Don't consider your life as a quest to arrive at a clearly defined place and time, but rather consider it a lifelong adventure of constant positive progression. And here we need to look at the intersection of Rogers' work and that of Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of need. While Rogers referred to it as fully functioning, Maslow referred to self-actualization as being the pinnacle of the lived experience. But they're both essentially the same thing, and both Maslow and Rogers believe that all of us are driven to achieve that high level of functioning in our lives. So the question becomes, if each of us has the innate drive to be the very best, why are so many people not getting there? Why are so many languishing and suffering, falling well short of who and what they might be? Well, Maslow argued that none of us can achieve high levels of functioning if many of our basic needs aren't being met. We tend to stall in our personal growth as people if our attention has to be given to meeting basic primary needs like overcoming challenges to our health and well-being, basic nutrition, physical and psychological safety, education, employment, our being accepted and loved by those around us, and so many other needs. More often than not, when needs aren't being met in our lives, it's due to external forces over which we feel we have very little control. And it's rather easy for us to lapse into the "I'm just a hapless victim" response. Now, if others or the social system in which we are living deny us access to things like shelter, educational opportunities, employment, acceptance, respect, and love, we are indeed hard-pressed to move toward a fully functioning state of being. But does that mean that anyone not receiving essential support from others or not having their full complement of needs met might as well just cash it in and accept their unfortunate lot? Well, no, and that's where Rogers comes back into the conversation. In his definition of the fully functioning person, he guides us to become increasingly responsive to and for ourselves, to help us realize that while we do need others in our lives, few of us really need others as much as we think we do. And when we come to that realization, we become more robust by turning to our own internal mechanisms of control and strength, rather than being passive respondents to the control of others in our lives. In saying that, please don't confuse it with selfishness or self-centeredness or an attitude of "it's all about me." Rather, we move to a more precise and functional level of balance between being responsive to and meeting our own needs, while at the same time being appropriately responsive to and assuming some degree of responsibility for others in our lives, primarily by not presenting ourselves as barriers or obstacles to them as they too move toward a more fully functioning life. But more than just platitudes and sweeping generalizations, Rogers actually defines the fully functioning person for us. And in the videos that follow, I'll be attending to that definition. But as an overview, Rogers defined the fully functioning person as someone who accepts their lived experience without denial or distortion and is open to new and different experiences. They live in harmony and accept others with all of the differences those others bring without stereotyping or judging. They live existentially, regarding their past as a collection of experiences from which they can learn, and look to the future as a general guide for their lives rather than being controlled by the past or enslaving themselves to the future in such a way as they forget to live in the moment. They trust themselves and continually modify their overall worldview in response to the ever-changing world around them. I hope you'll join me in the videos that follow and that they provide some insight and guidance as you move toward living a more fully functioning life.